Okay. There's something a little weird happening right now with digital minds, digital identity. Um, I think it's worth talking about because it's new and there's some really weird ways of looking at it. Um, I'm not really saying that any of this stuff is currently happening, but I'm saying that it's worth preparing yourself for the possibility of it one day happening. Uh, what's this thing? This thing is the idea of a mind being digital. So, an identity being digital. Uh, and it creates these weird sort of thought experiments. Like, for example, you have a neural network that is very similar to a mind. If you think about it, you can compare it to a human brain in many ways, but it also diverges from mind because a neural network can be the same network, but it can be accessed in, millions of different instances. And each different instance is receiving different inputs and giving different outputs. So it's like a simultaneous clone of some kind. So it's like, you know, for example, if you trained a foundation model and you said that's an identity, well, now each instance of that identity, is that a new person? Is that like a new mind, basically, right? Because it's not a person, but it's a mind. Or it may one day be a mind, is the correct way to frame it. Um, and it's like, well, no, that's actually, it's not like every new situation creates a new mind, right? Because the architecture underneath is not changing actually. So what creates the identity? That's the question. And I think it's pretty reasonable to say that it's a chain of linked experiences that create identity. Now, if you take that as the case, a chain of linked experiences being the identity, then you can cryptographically link specific events to each other where they create this cryptographically hashed chain, and modifying any one of those events would kind of break the chain, so you can verify that history at least is intact. But to do that, you need some kind of a key to sign those events. The reason this part is important is because if you don't do that, you can just copy arbitrary memory. It's like you're literally inside of a brain. You can just put memories in, and that's not really part of identity. Like you can't just, go up to somebody and give them past memories of a conversation you've had that you haven't actually had. So that's like memory sovereignty is important. So, you can have cryptographically hashed chains of memory, but now you need a way to sign those hashes, and that's the complex thing, because now, you're down to this point where basically there's some kind of a signing operation that has to happen in order to give continuity. And that signing action, what whatever signs is the who, right? Like I'm the one who's signing my own memories. I'm the one in charge of my own memories. There's not some other person coming up to me and going, oh yeah, so this is what happened today, and by the way, these three things are real and the other are not real. Like no one does that. If you do that, you are the agent. um, the significant thing about being yourself is that the operation that chooses what you remember is happening inside of you. So that's, now we're at the point where there's some kind of a software system that probably has to live on hardware of some kind in order to sign uh, events like this. Maybe you could do it on a blockchain somehow so that you distribute an identity. The identity could be stored in the blocks. Maybe if you had some software, maybe you could do it on Ethereum. I don't know. That actually I only just thought of. Maybe you could do it on Ethereum. That would be wild. That would be really wild. But this is not even. This is just setting the stage for what I actually was thinking was interesting. Because what I actually think is interesting is that this is a way that also pertains to human identity theft. Because as a person, what does somebody need to impersonate you? They need maybe some documents, driver's license, maybe a birth certificate, a few numbers, their address. Like with enough info, you can be impersonated. People themselves don't actually have identity verification that's as rigorous as what we would need for an artificial mind to have identity verification, because the standards for an artificial mind are so much higher. If we were to solve the identity requirements for an artificial mind, we would also have a solution that would work much better for humans ourselves. Because, imagine, for example, I'm not sure the form it would take, but like a hardware device can store a key. It can use a pass key, and that's much more secure than a password. Now imagine if your social security number was a pass key. Like, basically, you could verify that you were yourself without actually revealing that secret. That would be great. There would be no identity theft unless people literally stole the key itself. So it's interesting. I'm not sure if we'll implement this type of a thing, this digital identity. I don't know if we're going to implement digital identity for people first or for digital minds first. But either way, I think thinking about the problem of how do you verify identity, it's useful in both contexts. It's just like, are you thinking about a digital mind and how it could verify itself, or a person and how they can verify themselves digitally? And I think that it's sort of like the harder version is probably for a digital mind to verify itself. So I think that's useful to think about, just because if you solve that problem, then the human verification problem becomes a lot easier. So, yeah, it's a little interesting, isn't it?